Hey there, I'm Dr. Nadia Brown, founder of the Doyen Agency and host of Sales Culture Unfiltered. And today on the podcast, I'm joined by Jessica Sanchez, business coach, marketer, and a woman who has spent more than a decade leading teams inside agencies and SaaS startups while generating tens of millions in revenue for small businesses. This woman is a powerhouse. In 2024, Jessica made a bold shift by launching her coaching practice to help isolated and overwhelmed women entrepreneurs get clear, get focused, and reclaim their energy through strategic reprioritization. Say that word 3 times really fast. In today's conversation, we talk about the real roots of burnout, how to, surpass overwhelm, building team cultures, shifting from solo sales to having a team. Yes, we talk about a lot. So Jessica brings a blend of hard-won wisdom and practical strategies that I know you're going to appreciate. So let's dive in. See you there. Welcome to Sales Culture Unfiltered, the podcast where we get real about what actually makes or breaks high-performing sales teams. I'm your host, Dr. Nadia Y. Brown, a sales culture and communication architect, and I work with sales leaders to engineer high-impact teams that hit their numbers without burning out or breaking down. On this show, we dive into unfiltered conversations with sales leaders, industry experts, and high-performing teams about what it really takes to drive revenue, retain talent, and build a winning sales culture. If you're tired of surface-level advice and want the strategies, challenges, and hard-won wins that actually matter, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Welcome to another episode of Sales Culture Unfiltered. I am so excited for our guest today, Jessica Sanchez. Welcome, Jessica.
Thanks. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me, Nadia.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for this conversation. Thank you again for being here. So, you've had an amazing career leading marketing agencies and SaaS teams, and now you've shifted into working with women founders. But before we talk about where you are now, give us a little bit of background of your experience in marketing and working with those SaaS teams, and particularly around some of the things that you saw or experienced or even contributed to in building strong sales cultures.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll try and keep this condensed,
I
right?
know, right? That was a loaded question.
15 years of experience. But yeah, I mean, I started my career in marketing at a B2B tech marketing agency here in Phoenix, Arizona. We were servicing accounts like Dell, Microsoft, Intel, and it was the perfect environment for me to just dive right in and learn all things marketing, but also all things account management, which inevitably has sales
Absolutely.
tied to it. So I started as a project manager, and then as I was doing that work, the agency that I worked for ended up developing a product for SaaS companies. It's a partner relationship management tool, and they shut down the agency and brought me along to help start this software company. So I was employee number like 3 or 4. And I was just wearing a ton of hats. I was winding down some of the accounts that we had already made commitments to and continuing on with that work. But I was also helping to create the foundation and structure of the SaaS startup that I was a part of. And so a lot of that had to do with our mission, our vision, our core values, just all of those intangibles to help align the team to best service our clients. And so I was instrumental in that work, and it was a really fun time. We had a really great team. I was there for about 2 or 3 years. And as what happens in SaaS startups, there's lots of change, there's lots of different investors. Just really started to see that what I had contributed was probably enough at that point. And I went back into the B2B tech marketing world and worked for a similar agency servicing the same clientele for 7 years. And so that was a great opportunity there because I was able to grow more in leadership and start building the accounts team while also working with the rest of our team because you don't do things alone. Like
Mm-mm.
I know that in a lot of cultures or like a lot of corporate organizations, you kind of have your silos and you're all sort of responsible for your own department, but working at the smaller marketing agencies and wanting to give the best product to our clients, we all had to work together. And honestly, I would always say like we're all salespeople in this
Mm-hmm.
organization, whether
Mm-hmm.
you're a designer, whether you're a copywriter, um, a web developer, like we are all in sales because the product does speak for itself and it sells itself. And so my team is really just there to facilitate the conversations, to build and nurture the relationships, and to uncover the problems and pain points that our clients were experiencing and come up with a strategic marketing solution for them
Mm-hmm.
and then deliver on it. So, it was a roller coaster, but it was so much fun. Like, it's the things they don't teach you in school. It's just
Right.
baptism by fire, and you go in there and you learn and you grow and you make mistakes and
Mm-hmm.
fix those mistakes and you don't do it the next time. And so yeah, I ended up growing our accounts team to, again, we were a smaller agency, about 20 of us, but I had about four account managers under my lead. And
Nice.
so we were responsible for generating the revenue for the agency, and leading that sort of strategic direction. So that's just a highlight of or like a synopsis of my experience in the marketing agencies and then in the SaaS world. But at the agency, worked with a lot of startups, worked with a lot of small to medium sized businesses in the tech realm, and then also worked with like enterprises in the Fortune 500. So really
Mm-hmm.
serviced like the gamut of accounts.
Absolutely. I love it. You had a small but mighty team, right? Like you're like, it's only
Mhm.
like five of us total, but you guys had a huge responsibility. One of
Mhm.
the things that you talked about, because I like how you're like, we just did this, right? We built the relationships, we figured out what people needed, and then we put together a plan. And but that's ultimately sales. And I think sometimes people make it a lot more complicated than it has to be. I really
Mhm.
like your relationship focused and driven approach because, as you know, that definitely lended itself to some great results. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, as we've talked about this amazing career doing all the things, what moment or what was it, that realization that you came to that pushed you to step into coaching women entrepreneurs?
Yeah. I have all, you know how like when you're younger, you have these dreams in your heart, and I think as you get older, I don't know, life just lifes, and maybe you silence it or you follow a direction that you're told. And I'm thankful for those experiences, but as a little kid, I always knew like I want to run and own my own business. Like I really
Mm,
understood the freedom um, that was tied to that. And so I think working with entrepreneurs and startups was such a great foundation for me. It taught me so much. I sometimes joke like I got my MBA like through that, it's like not official, but um yeah, I and so I had done that and supported entrepreneurs for, like I said, about 15 years of my career. And I think there just comes that point where you just know where that
hmm
like yearning in your heart can no longer be sort of pushed down. And so it wasn't at the most convenient time of my life, I'll tell you that much. But I think that that's just the way that life works sometimes. I think that's where you can grow the most and learn the most lessons. And I think I
hmm
was just at this point, I have a daughter, and that time goes by so fast. And I just
Good.
knew that like I had to do something different while she was younger so that she could see a different framework, I guess, or a different blueprint to like a mom who works and what does that look like
Right.
for
What does
her.
that look like? Yeah.
So that was, I think, that's what kind of led me to move out of the corporate space, working for somebody else and doing my own thing. And I really, when I made that jump,
hmm
of course, you get known in your industry for what you are really good at. And
Yeah, you
so
do.
I think, built a reputation just around being really reliable, about producing results, about really knowing and understanding my clientele within the tech space, the B2B tech space. And so when I left, I did have an opportunity when they found out I was going on my own to kind of jump in to another organization as a consultant,
Mm-hmm.
which would have been very easy for me to jump into and to just start doing again and like get in that mode. And it was super tempting because it was income.
Yes.
Um, but I also felt like in my gut, like my intuition was like, this is a test. Like, this is a test.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do I truly want to carve a new path for myself, or am I just interested in kind of repeating the same cycle that I know doesn't work for me? And so, as hard as
Mm.
it was, like, I said no to the opportunity, and I like adored the organization who reached out to me. You know, it was not easy to do. I know that there was probably some disappointment.
Of course.
Um, but that created more time and space for me to
Mhm.
really just hone in on who I wanted to serve. Like I never had the mental clarity or the space to do that while I was
Mhm.
working in my corporate environment. It was just too noisy, too busy. I was too exhausted at the end of the day. And so saying no to that opportunity then gave me the time to like do that quiet, intentional work to determine like how do I take my gifts, my talents, my expertise, knowledge, experience, who is that best going to serve and
Yeah.
how is that going to like make an impact. And so I landed on, you know, female entrepreneurs, small businesses. Maybe they have a smaller team. I'm used to that. But I
Mhm.
do understand the corporate environment and marketing and messaging. I think there's value in how to utilize that as a small business owner or solopreneur. But then I also know the things that they don't teach you in business around like how do you determine your boundaries? How do you
Mm.
determine your self-worth or cultivate confidence that isn't like fueled by people pleasing? Like
Mhm.
those things that you really just learn through the process of it all. But if you're in a cycle of just reacting, sometimes you don't get to explore those pieces of yourself and like why you make decisions. And so, in saying no to that opportunity, I was able to do all of that work.
Yes. That was a lot of work.
Yeah, I mean, still on the journey, you
Mhm.
know, but um, yeah. And so, oddly enough, in setting that foundation and having that intention in communicating that effectively, who I really wanted to serve and how I was going to serve these women with operations, sales, and marketing foundations to help fuel
Mhm.
their business, I was able to land a client who fit perfectly,
Of course.
you know, into who I was meant to serve. And we did great work together. And I'm still on that path of, again, working with these women and providing that value so that their businesses can grow and thrive. Because my mission, I just know women who are really successful in business and not hustling or struggling or, you know, burned out because they're working with the wrong
Mhm.
clients are they end up taking their time, energy, and money and giving it back to their community.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
we need more of that.
That is
So,
huge. Oh my
yeah.
gosh. That is so good. I love it. Yeah, I have a daughter as well, and it's definitely I can I can see the changes that I've made in my own business, you know, in my own journey and after becoming a mom because it was like, wait, how I was living this life beforehand is not going to work for what I want her to see. But
Mhm.
also who she gets to experience, right? Like as
Yeah.
a parent.
Mhm.
Because there are those days I'm like, oh girl, something is out of balance because she is not getting the best of you. So
We've
it's like you said,
all
it's
been there.
constant. Like, what is going on? This is not the best. But after your work with these amazing teams and all these different types of clients, like you said, your experience runs the gamut in terms of size and, you know, things that people were delivering on. What are some
Mhm.
of the things that you learned about revenue growth that women founders need to hear,
Yeah.
especially those of us who equate more income with more stress?
Mm. Oh my, that is such a good question. Let me sit on that for a second. Would you mind repeating the question? Just like
Yeah.
it's just like the first part,
Yeah,
really
so
quick.
during your career and working
Yeah.
with these larger companies, if you
Yeah.
will, what did you learn about revenue growth that women founders need to hear,
Mhm.
especially those of us who equate more income with more stress?
Yeah, I mean, not all revenue growth is good for you. You
Check.
know,
Yes.
it's and I think it goes back to like what as women founders, what do we value
Hmm.
most? In our world and in our society, it's very common to equate our worth with how much money we have in the bank or how much revenue our business makes.
Hmm.
I lived that way for a very long time, and the truth of the matter is that we are worthy just because because we're human beings on this
Hmm.
earth, you know.
Yeah.
And so I think being rooted in that first is imperative when thinking about generating revenue and growing revenue for your business. Like when you have that foundation and like your identity doesn't lie in just the revenue,
Right.
it will actually come because you're not putting out an energy of stress, right? Of lack, of scarcity. But there's more of like an openness to the abundance that is available. And that may sound incredibly like woo-woo, but I know that entrepreneurship is a spiritual journey, like
Yes.
whatever you believe in, because like you are forging a different path. It is on your shoulders, and that does come with stress. That does
Hmm.
come with a lot of fear, doubt, uncertainty. But that's also where we truly grow as individuals. And so I think it's great. I think, yeah, as business owners, there's business. Like you got to generate revenue. You got to have to produce income. We all, need to put food on the table and pay our bills. Um, but saying yes to anything and everything just to
Hmm.
produce that revenue leads to burnout.
Absolutely.
It just because you're trying to serve everyone and do everything. And the fact of the matter is like we don't have the capacity for that.
We do
And
not.
nor were we ever meant to have the capacity for that. And so I think going back to like, if you're a mom too, like you want to be able to give the best of yourself to
Hmm.
those that you love and those that you serve in your business. And I think doing some of that intentional work where you're really locked in your business on, and this is a marketing perspective, right? Like who your ideal clients are,
Hmm.
what their pain points are. You like deeply and truly know what that is, and you're able to communicate it not only in your marketing message, but also when you're speaking to them on like a sales call, and you're not trying
Yeah.
to sell them, you're trying to understand the pain that they're experiencing, whether it is in
Absolutely.
their business or even in their personal life. Because,
Hmm.
as much as we want to say, like, we can separate the two, like,
That is not true.
no, that is not true. Whatever's going on in your business is impacting your personal life. Whatever's going on in your personal life is going to impact your business. And so at the end of the day, when people are reaching out for a solution, it's because they are trying to like run from their pain or solve a pain point or like seek pleasure. Like there's one or two
Hmm.
sort of buying thought processes. And as salespeople, when we really understand that perspective authentically,
Yeah.
you can create like genuine connection, and like that's the building blocks of a true relationship. And
Hmm.
I don't know. I know you see it in the SaaS world or in corporate world. They're like, if we just have the right script, if we just have the right tool, if we just use the
Right?
right automation, we're going to be able to like, and I live that. I've
Hmm.
implemented some of that,
Same.
like I get it. And I get it when you're like a larger corporation and team, but even still, nothing ever replaces like true connection and true understanding of your
Yeah.
buyer and authentically knowing that you can solve their problem.
Yes.
Like the saying yes to an opportunity and like I'm going to figure that out on the fly. There might be a time and a space for that, but
It's not a
it comes at a
long-term
cost.
solution.
Well, and it comes at a cost,
It
right?
does.
Like,
That's a good point. Yeah.
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 So, I think that answered the
No,
question.
that did. That was really
Okay.
good. And it's a great segue to the next one. So
Yeah.
you talk about the costs, right? Because there
Mhm.
are, as a woman entrepreneur, there are those things that we do just have to kind of leap out there and not have all the things figured out, right?
Yep.
But like you
Yep.
said, in the day to day, as you're building and really building that foundation, there are some things that we should just know.
Mm.
Just know
Yeah.
that, and and have it systematized and all the things. Like we should just know we shouldn't always be in that state of figuring everything out forever and ever. Amen. Right?
Yes.
So,
Yep.
as you are doing your work now, when a woman founder comes to you feeling overwhelmed and stressed out,
Mm-hmm.
where do you begin? What's the first diagnostic question you ask?
Oh, that's so good. I mean, usually I like to just hear their story first and foremost.
Mhm.
Like why do you think you're feeling this way? And then let women sort of unpack it from there. Because oftentimes, and I've experienced this myself, you might think that it's one thing, like, oh, it's this, I don't have the system in place, or I don't have, it's this like tangible thing.
Yep.
But oftentimes it's so much deeper than that. And so when I'm able to kind of hear the more holistic story of like where the burnout is leading to, I think that's then like when I can work with a client as a coach and as a consultant, I kind of have both approaches because there are some things consultatively that I can say like, oh, I know diagnostically this
Mm-hmm.
is what's causing it. Is it a system? Is it a resource issue? You know, and we can work through that. But then there are often other times where from a coach perspective, like I said, there's that maybe internal belief system or a narrative that's running kind of in the background that
Mm-hmm.
requires like a little bit more dissection, a little bit more introspection, and that's on the work of the client. I'm there to facilitate, I'm there to guide, I'm there to ask thoughtful questions that
Yeah.
may help clients see it from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And then the work sort of begins from there, right?
Yeah.
That's where I come from with my clients. Like we're just two human beings figuring out life together, you know, and working
So
together
good.
to like solve problems and do good in the world.
Yes. Oh, that is
Yeah.
so good. I like this togetherness. It's a partnership, right? Like we're
It
working against
is.
I don't have all the
Yeah.
answers, but I do know how to ask some questions to help us figure this out.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, we're not meant to just figure everything out on our own
Hmm.
either. And I know I can like fall victim to this too sometimes
Same.
where I'm
Hmm.
like, I got this, you know, I don't need anybody's help. Like
I
I,
call
you
it my
know,
inner toddler.
yeah, like pull myself up by my bootstraps and like, you know, I'm not going to bother anybody or burden anyone. But
Yep.
uh, what I found, and this happens all the time, is like when I do that, it just ends up taking me longer to get where I'm supposed to go, and like bringing
Yeah.
in other people into the mix to help support and give me guidance or advice, like accelerates my growth
Every
personally
time.
and from a business perspective.
Yep.
So I think it's important for businesses to invest in those resources, consultants, coaches, you know, whatever, to help them move along faster in their journey.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. And I like to go fast. So if there's a shortcut, I want to take it. So many women solopreneurs are the salesperson by default. The sales team, they are it.
Yep.
From your viewpoint, what are the most common types of traps that founders fall into when they don't realize they're also leading a sales function?
Mm, common traps. I mean, I think the being unable to say no is
Mhm.
a trap. Just being able
Probably
to
one of the biggest ones.
saying yes to everything, you
Hmm.
know. I think not being able to take the time at a certain point in their business to like reflect and strategically look at the like businesses or their clients that they've worked with in the past and like
Hmm.
diagnose who do I work really well with, who do I not? Like just kind of
Hmm.
staying in the same decision making process or sales habits that they used when they first started their business. Like at some point in that entrepreneurial journey, as you learn, as you grow, as you figure out who you work really well with and who you don't, like there's a point where you have to make some choices, right? Like I'm not going to
Hmm.
work with these clients, but I'm going to lean into more working with these clients. And so I think that that can be a trap if you're not
100%.
being thoughtful about that and you just keep going, you're just going to keep experiencing the same stuff every single year and maybe stay stagnant in your revenue growth as well. So making like some, and I think another trap, like being scared, being fearful, like not being bold enough to maybe make some of those certain business decisions that feel really scary at the time
Hmm.
and being like, well, I know this, it's comfortable, but it's really just keeping you stagnant or it's
You're
burning
stuck.
you out.
Yes.
Like I think those are probably some traps that are pretty common for all of
Very
us.
common. Yes.
Yeah.
Another thing that I see, I don't know if I would call it a trap, but I definitely think it's a speed bump. Something that can slow us down is when women founders come to that realization that they do need to move out of being that sole salesperson and shifting from this now being a solo function
Right.
to building a team and bringing other people on board.
Hmm.
So when you think about that, what are some of those behaviors or habits that maybe women founders, even if they don't feel like they're ready today, that they can start
Hmm.
working on and developing to make
Yeah.
that transition easier?
Yeah. I mean, I think documentation is so key. Like a
Sure.
lot of female founders. I mean, you kind of take for granted and you get used to like, I don't need the script. I know what it's like. Like I know how to sell. I know my clients' pain points. Like you have it all up here. And
Mm-hmm.
so then when you realize, oh, I need to scale and I need to bring on another resource to help bring in leads or close those leads. Um, Oftentimes those female founders don't know how to effectively train that. They either just
Mm-hmm.
throw that person into the water, into the
Into
deep end
the
and let
deep
them sink or
end.
swim. I've been there, like and at that point you just pray that like you hired somebody who can figure it out, you
Yes, you're
know?
like, Lord, help.
But oftentimes you don't find those people right
Nope.
away. And so what is helpful is having some of that documentation. Like, do you have documentation around who your ideal client is? Like, who are your sales reps? Who should they be hunting for? Like, what
Mm-hmm.
determines an ideal client from a revenue perspective, size, just basic characteristics? Who
Yeah.
is the buyer that they should be talking to so they're not wasting their time talking to the wrong person, like that has to be
Mm-hmm.
documented somewhere
Mm-hmm.
before it becomes like institutional knowledge, so to speak. And then, yeah, like what is that message around how your business helps solve that problem? You know it because it's your baby. But if you're bringing in somebody new, like not only training them for what you already innately know, but like bringing them into your mission, into your
Mm-hmm.
heart, into your culture. Like
Yes.
that's I think what's really hard from the hiring perspective. You can hire for those skills or whatever, but like if you don't have that alignment culturally,
Yes.
it's so hard and I think female founders get so disappointed when they're like, "Oh, I really thought that this one would work." But I think
Mm-hmm.
foundationally it's like, no, are they aligned with what you are trying to accomplish? Like
Yes.
that, if you can find that in a hire,
It's
I mean, you
gold.
can teach the rest. Yeah, and you can teach the rest. You can
You
teach all the
absolutely
technical
can.
Yeah, you can have them shadow you on calls and stuff. That's how I used to train my salespeople. While I
Mm-hmm.
had documentation, I was always like, let's sit in on some conversations and then give them tasks that they can work on. You kind of review it, vet it, and then like as they start to build their confidence, you kind of start to give them more responsibility
Yeah,
because being sales facing is that's a big responsibility.
it is. It
It's
is.
your brand. It's and so it is hard for founders, no matter who you are,
Mm-hmm.
to put that trust in somebody else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. It is not easy. You're like, what? So
Yeah.
along that same line, because I 100% agree, I definitely talk about, cultural alignment in the hiring process. I think a lot of times it's very easy to overlook that because we're looking at the resume and all the things that they can do and all the skills, and we sometimes forget to ask those questions. So as someone who's built these teams, what have been
Mhm.
some of your best practices or your secret sauce to maybe vetting or figuring out that whole cultural alignment piece as you're bringing new people on board?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different methodologies in terms of like your hiring methods and the questions that you ask. So, like, if you ask them like behavioral questions, really just getting down to like, what is the character of this
Mm-hmm.
person?
Mm-hmm.
Like giving them a sort of situational question around like, if you were talking to a prospect who had a really big budget, but you know that innately our business would not be able to solve their problem, but you have your quota to me, like what would you do in that situation?
It's a good one. I love
Right?
it.
Like, because now you're digging into like what is their character? Because character
Hmm.
matters,
It
like
does.
especially in sales, especially because sales gets a bad rap,
A big time
Um,
bedroom.
big time bad rap. But I think buyers are savvy.
Hmm.
They know the tricks. They know and I think buyers just want to know that they're talking to somebody who has their best interests at heart.
Hmm.
And that's character first and
That's
foremost.
huge. I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah, you can't train that.
Mm-mm.
But that's part of the work as a founder. If you can find somebody who has good character, you can train the rest. You can train how to be on a sales call. You can train,
Hmm.
all of that.
You absolutely can. I love it. I love this. So
Yeah.
as we get ready to close, my question for you is if you could whisper, so you have to get close to her in her ear, one message to every overwhelmed woman founder right now, what would you say
Mhm.
to her?
Mm. I would tell her that she's got this,
Hmm.
that she can overcome whatever difficulty she's experiencing in this moment right now, that this
Yeah.
isn't forever, um, and that she can work through
Hmm.
that current feeling of overwhelm or burnout, that there's a brighter day ahead.
Love that. Much, much brighter day ahead.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. Not without its challenges, but she's
Yes.
got it. She's got
Yes.
it. Yeah. And all she has to do is look back at everything else that she's accomplished beforehand and
Hmm.
how she's made it through those things, that this is just one moment and that she'll get through it.
So good.
Mm.
Thank you for being with us today, Jessica.
Thank you for
Before we
having me.
go, though, I want you to share with our listeners how they can stay in touch with you.
Yeah, of course. So I am on LinkedIn and Instagram, Jessica Sanchez Coaching. That's sort of where I'm at the most. And it has all of my other information, links to my website, jessicasanchezcoaching.com. There you'll find a variety of different resources and offers. But I would just love to connect and stay in touch and hear your stories.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much again for being here. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you again on another episode of Sales Culture Unfiltered. See you soon. Bye bye. That's a wrap on today's episode of Sales Culture Unfiltered. But the conversation doesn't end here. If something sparked your interest today, connect with me on LinkedIn or visit our website at thedoyenagency.com to explore how we're helping sales teams build cultures that last. And if you found this episode valuable, don't keep it to yourself. Hit subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a fellow sales leader. See you next time.